right now. As a parent, what is the absolute most important trait you would like your child to have? You would not believe the results of a survey. Let's talk about it, y'all. Welcome to the chat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the chat. I'm Catalina Allures. We have Henny, Angelia, and Joey joining the panel today.
All right.
I always love when he's here. It's always going to be extra exciting. All right, well, let's get started with criticism over the Treasury Secretary's wife. Steve Mnuchin's wife, Louise Linton, posted an Instagram picture of herself stepping out of a taxpayer-funded plane during an official visit to Fort Knox. Linton used several hashtags in the post, including the brands of her designer clothes she was wearing. That didn't sit well with several people, including one Instagram user, a mother of 3, who commented, quote, "Glad we could pay for your little getaway, hashtag deplorable." Linton responded in part saying, "Cute. Aw, did you think this was a personal trip? Adorable. Do you think the U.S. government paid for our honeymoon or personal travel? Have you given more to the economy than me and my husband? Pretty sure that the amount we sacrifice per year is a lot more than you'd be willing to sacrifice if the choice was yours." I mean, that's how I read it in that same sarcastic voice. Did anyone else read it like that?
Totally. I'm sure that's how she meant it, exactly like that. You know, I mean, I don't condone anybody going after anybody on social media. I really hate when people do that. They attack anybody just because they don't believe what they believe or like what they're wearing or like what they look like or their kids look like. But with that said, the irony of all of this is they were going to Fort Knox. Fort Knox has $300 billion worth of our gold reserves. So kind of funny that that's what they're going to do, is look at money and gold bars and the reserve that we have, and yet she's flaunting all of her wardrobe, I guess, shall we say. And so I don't like the fact that she went out on a limb to put all of her
She tagged a lot of designers
on there of what she was wearing.
Yeah.
And so with that, I feel like Steve Mnuchin is supposedly worth about $300 million. So they've got money in the bank. They need to use a little bit to buy a little class.
Oh, well, that's an Angelia burn there for you.
That was not something that anyone needs to put out there, and especially in the position that she's in as the wife of the Treasury of our country.
Well, here's my
she
issue
did not
with it,
need
is
to
that
be throwing that out there.
President Trump ran on the platform of, I'm going to save this country money, and I'm going to surround myself with people in my cabinet that are going to be as fiscally responsible as I am to save this country money. So you have this woman who is the wife of the Secretary of Treasury, who should know a little bit more about being responsible with your finances. So that's my first beef with it. The second beef is that it looks honestly like she's one of those social media influencer girls, because she's like looking down, hair's blowing in the wind,
I mean,
and then
Kylie
she
Jenner
tagged
has
all
taken
these
a
designers
similar one.
like, fingers crossed that they're going to send me free merch and I'll keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then it's one of those things of, I kind of feel like she knew she was guilty. This is one of the things, she got backed into a corner, and then she was like, well, how much have you given to the government? And don't you ride on planes? I'm like, just say, listen, I messed up.
Yeah, it was definitely an outfit of the day
And it's
kind of
not her
picture gone
first time
wrong.
that she's faced social media backlash. She wrote a book in 2016 that was about a foreign trip that people said was wildly exaggerated, so much where Amazon pulled it off the shelves because it was such bluff that it wasn't telling the truth. So it's not her first time that she's put her foot in her mouth.
That's unfortunate. Because the thing is, she's, on paper, she seems like a very intelligent woman. She's a classically trained actress. She owns her own movie production company. She's got 2 degrees. Like, on paper, seems like a very smart woman. So for someone this smart to respond that way. But here's the thing, is that with all of this, she's an actress. She's, you know, guest starred in plenty of shows, has been in movies. Why doesn't she have a thicker skin? You know the position you're putting yourself in.
But the thing is, she does. I mean, she's an attorney. She went to Pepperdine University, so she's an attorney. So I think that's why she decided to lash back, and I think she thought she had a ground to stand on, but then she ended up taking it down because you just can't put all of your information out there online on social media, because there are a lot of haters out there, and because of where she stands and who she's married to, and politics get involved with that. So you're just putting yourself on a platform to be attacked just for that reason alone.
Right. It's like you're not Kylie Jenner. You're the Secretary of Treasury's wife. Now, I hate to say it, like you belong, like you are the property of this man in this title, but in reality, in that world, that's what you are, and it seems like she wasn't well prepared for that role she was stepping into.
I don't think she cared. Honestly, I don't
I
think
don't
she
think so
cared.
either.
I think controversy follows her, and I don't think she actually cared what she looked like. It didn't matter.
Unfortunately.
Okay, well, we're going to move on now from that mess to another one. Here's a question for you. Would you rather have your kids who are popular or a kid who is really, really smart? About 150 moms had to rank 6 traits according to how important they are. The majority of the moms would rather have a kid who is popular and good at socializing than a kid who is really smart. Now, 51% said that the most important trait is extroversion, but only 10% said intelligence.
So first off, none of us
here
have kids.
Have kids,
None
yes.
of us have kids.
But I will say, it saddens me to see that that high number, that they're more concerned about them having a social butterfly as a child rather than someone who is smart that can go out and be a game changer and be a world changer.
I think this was guided, though, honestly, because the things that the parents had to choose from was extroversion, conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, openness to new experiences. So out of all of those 5 things, what are you going to choose? You're going to choose extrovert, I would think, for the most part. So I think that this was guided. You want your child to be conscientious?
Maybe.
So, I mean, out of all of those things, you know, I mean, it's like at that day.
That's a big
I'm not
day,
going
how
to care the
feeling?
most about them being a social butterfly.
I think it should have been a
important.
pick 2 out of there, because then at least you would have been able to marry 2 of the best characteristics together, and it would have been better. And with the world the way that it is and how mean kids are these days online
not just
and out of
kids, grown
school,
folks too.
Extrovert kind of makes sense a little bit, because if you know that your kid's being bullied, like, and if they're an extrovert, not necessarily a popular kid, but an extroverted kid, they're going to say something. And you want your kid to say something if they're being bullied, because most kids don't. They just kind of hide it and hope it goes away.
I'm not shocked by this at all. I think in a social media world, priority number 1 for parents and the kids, if we're being quite honest, is for you to be popular.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're smart, athletic, creative. It's how many likes you have, how many people follow you, and where that's going to get you in life.
That's true.
I
I have to agree with that.
But I do think it'll be interesting, because I do think it's a little bit guided, because those options are very maybe broad.
They're very broad.
Yeah, they're very broad.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see if it came back to those same parents. Would you want your kid to be athletic or creative?
That's a good,
Me, I want
Creative.
athletic.
I would say
say
creative. I'd say
Athletic.
creative.
All the stories we're hearing about concussions and how people can no longer play
Not only that,
sports.
but you
Not to be an athlete.
you
but
bust
to
that
be
kneecap and you're no longer
Yeah.
athletic.
Yeah, to be athletic.
put
But
it
isn't
out there.
athletic playing?
For the record, it's for creative people all wanting their children to be creative. So it may be a little bit biased.
I think be responsible. I think if I were a parent, I would want my child to be responsible, and that's it. Just a responsible. That's all.
Yeah, because that one's like there's no subjectiveness to responsibility, so that makes sense.
We
That's a good
we
one.
all need that, including the first talker that we were talking about, Steve
Yes.
Newsom's wife. All right. Well, speaking of popularity, the new comedy Girls Trip has made $104 million at the box office, according to BlackFilm.com. It's the first all-black movie to cross the $100 million mark, and it's by all black, they mean it was produced, directed, and written by all African Americans, and all of the main stars are also black. It's also the highest grossing comedy of the year. The last comedy made over $100 million at the box office last year, and that was called Bad Moms. I don't know if anybody saw that. I didn't see it, but I know a lot of people that did. So what do you think? What do you think about the success of this movie? I mean, you've seen it, Joey.
You've seen it too, haven't you?
Only 3 times.
3 times.
Three
Did you see it,
times?
Catalina?
What?
It
I
was
haven't
worth
seen
it.
it yet.
And I would
seen it
go
yet
see it again if the price wasn't so darn high. Lower those movie ticket prices.
No,
times,
just go on
though.
the weeknights. That's when it's
3
always cheaper.
times I did, but
my
because
God.
I had to go with a group of different friends every time
Oh.
because some of them produced a whole different result. I went out one time with my group of friends from Humana. Shout out to y'all. Turned it out in the movie theater. You would have thought it was a club. But anyway, this movie was the best movie I have watched in probably since How Stella Got Her Groove Back. And that was a
Really? That was a
long
long
time
time.
ago.
Yeah.
This movie was so well written. It was so well produced. It was funny from the moment you sat down and the guy put his junk up against the window. until the
I need
very,
to see
very
this
end.
Did you just give something away?
I
did.
know.
I did. And it was just laugh after laugh after laugh. It broke so many barriers. Here's the great thing about it. First of all, it grossed $114 million worldwide. The budget was only $19 million. So talk about a come
Real
up from that.
return on investment, yeah.
Absolutely. It was only projected to make about $20 million. From over 2,500 theaters, and the industry experts were saying that it can only debut as high as about $30 million. So that just kind of goes to show that the challenges as African American filmmakers, the challenges that they face when they doubt them, saying, oh, you'll only make $30 million, $119 million later, and it's still going.
Yeah.
It had a star-studded cast, Queen Latifah, I know you love Queen as well, Larenz Tate, woo! Oh, I'm salivating. Sorry. But anyway, Jada Pinkett Smith. It was just it was so. Tiffany Haddish. Oh, sorry, Joey.
No,
sorry.
she is hysterical.
Let's just say grapefruit.
She was the breakout star. From everything that I read, she was the breakout star.
I told Henny this. Listen, I'm in my 20s. I'm a white guy. I'm not the demographic for this movie. But I saw it, and there were numerous times I was literally wiping tears. It is so laugh out loud. And
yes.
Also, not the demographic. I love Bridesmaids. I thought Bridesmaids was hysterical. This is better than Bridesmaids.
Oh, it is.
No way.
Oh,
Really?
Way.
Tiffany Haddish did a great interview with BuzzFeed, and she talked about how she knew this movie was happening. She goes, I want to be a part. Please let me be the part. And they said, oh, we need a name.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the Regina Hall, Queen Latifah, Jada Pinkett Smith, those are big names. But I'm telling you, Tiffany Haddish is the breakout star.
It was her movie.
There are numerous scenes, and Henny and I have talked about this, where she's just improvising.
Yes, and it's the best.
I'm telling you, you'll cry, you'll laugh so hard.
Yes,
it's
it was a great movie.
I would go see it again.
And you know, she has such a great backstory. That's why you never know what life has for you, because as a young child, her mother experienced a really, really bad car accident back in the day that caused her to have some mental challenges after. And the day her mom was released from the hospital, the doctor pulled her to the side and said, honey, you're going to have to step up to the plate because your mom will never be the same again. So she had to step up to raise her siblings. She had, I think, 3 or 4 other siblings, and she had to take care of her mom and take care of herself. And that just made her into the strong woman that she is today. She is now the hottest sought-after comedian.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Hart has already grabbed her, and y'all know Kevin Hart is nothing but
gold.
golden.
What he touches is gold. Yeah,
oh, my goodness.
Exactly.
So I am so proud of all these ladies. This
and
movie
what did I tell you?
it.
I'm calling it now. There will be a sequel.
Oh, there is a sequel,
There will inevitably
boo-boo.
be a sequel.
There is a
I need
sequel
to see
for
this.
sure.
I'm
It's
so
so
mad I
good.
haven't
How
seen
many
this
more times
yet.
are you going to see it?
When they lower them darn movie ticket prices, I would go every day if I could. Can I get $5 holla?
All right, we'll get it for you when it comes out.
Right, we'll let you know. We'll let you know when they drop those prices. All right, well, coming up next, a business venture that's unlike any we've ever heard of. We're learning more about the man behind the world's first eco-friendly underwear line.